Hello and welcome to this IBM Concert Technical Overview course. My name is Will Koffel, and today I'll be walking you through some of the technical background of Concert as well as its use cases. We'll start with an introduction to Concert and take a look at how it can help solve some of the challenges organizations are facing. Next, we'll cover the risk and resilience postures of Concert and take a look at the overall architecture. And then lastly, we'll go over the different deployment options available today. When we get to the risk and resilience sections, I'll show you a live environment of Concert to demo some of its capabilities. So let's jump right in. Applications produce a huge amount of siloed data across the different tools that organizations are using. Deciphering, analyzing, and making informed decisions based on data is hindered by fragmented visibility across these applications and systems. The goal with Concert is to connect with existing environments and toolsets, to improve the visibility of operational challenges, to help users understand root causes, and proactively address them with recommended actions and automation. IBM Concert provides a 360-degree view of the business and technology risk of a CVE across the application landscape in one enterprise-grade tool. Concert's prioritized recommendations are based on application risk impact. An example of the dashboard is shown here, with the vulnerability posture highlighted. It shows the total unique CVEs, your most vulnerable applications, and prioritized CVEs impacting public access points. So going a little bit more deeply into how it works, this slide shows some examples of all the different pieces of data that we can bring in and the current integrations that we have with Concert. We're going to be constantly updating this list to add in new data sources and new integrations that are being built out. So this is just a snapshot of the different options available. And then all of that data is going to be shoved into watsonx, and it's going to generate all of these insights on the back end. Next, let's take a look at the common challenges that organizations are facing. Today's businesses are completely dependent on applications. When an application goes down, especially one that delivers value to clients, it can be extremely costly. The impact isn't just technical. It affects your reputation, it can lead to SLA penalties, and may even result in lost customers. These aren't just hypothetical risks. Major companies have made headlines for outages, despite having the resources you'd expect to prevent them. So why does this still happen? The reality is that building resilient applications is hard. According to IDC, over 80% of organizations struggled to achieve application resilience. Applications today need to be able to withstand unexpected changes, environment shifts, and inevitable cyber attacks. And here's the challenge. The average organization manages over 1,000 applications. Each one comes with its own dependencies, configurations, and risks, especially in hybrid and multi-cloud environments. This complexity makes resilience even harder to achieve. Modern applications are incredibly complex, often built with intricate dependencies across hybrid and multi-cloud environments. It's no surprise that 82% of enterprise leaders say that complexity is holding back the success of their platforms. And the cost of downtime? It's huge, impacting not just your reputation, but also user trust and revenue. This is especially critical in industries like financial services, where even a short outage can have major consequences for both customer and the business. This reliance on applications has other consequences as well. The application lifecycle has become increasingly fragmented and complex, with each stage involving possibly hundreds of tools, which are often scattered across different environments. So what's causing this struggle to keep applications resilient and running smoothly? There are four main challenges. A big one is siloed data. Organizations often run hundreds or even thousands of applications, each generating its own data. Add infrastructure, networks, cloud platforms, and monitoring tools into the mix, and you end up with a massive amount of disconnected data. Each tool, whether it's for application performance, network monitoring, logging, or ITSM, only shows part of the picture. For example, your network tool might say everything's fine, but your ITSM system is flooded with user complaints. Without context, it's hard to connect the dots. And then the next problem is that even if you have the right data, there's a shortage of skilled professionals who can interpret it and take action. You can't just throw more people at the problem. There simply aren't enough experts available. The next problem is manual, fragmented remediation. Even when you know what's wrong, fixing it can be slow and complex. Issues often span multiple teams, requiring tickets, handoffs, and delays. The more teams involved, the longer it takes to resolve the problem. And then data overload. All of these systems generate huge volumes of data. For an SRE, it's nearly impossible to understand all of it in real time, especially across dozens or hundreds of applications. The sheer volume of data generated is beyond what human teams can process effectively. That's why automation and AI are no longer optional. They're essential. So, what do organizations really need? Well, first, they need visibility, a clear, comprehensive view of all the data across the organization, not just from performance monitoring and logging tools, but also from infrastructure, networks, and even customer complaints. Visibility into all of this helps us understand where the risks and gaps exist. They also need resilience and risk management. Once a risk or a weak point is identified in an application, they need a way to manage it holistically. That means not just tracking the issue, but understanding what needs to be fixed and how to fix it effectively. And lastly, actionable insights. Organizations need clear, prioritized recommendations. Every application is different, with its own dependencies and criticality. Actionable insights help teams make faster, smarter decisions, something that typically comes from years of SRE experience. Once you know what to fix, you also need the ability to automate the fix. Manual processes are slow and inconsistent. Automation is key to staying up and responding quickly to issues. But not just any automation. You need automation that works across the entire stack. Whether the issue is in the application layer, the network, or the database, your automation should be able to reach across teams and systems to resolve it. These challenges make it hard to maintain application uptime and resilience, but that's exactly where IBM Concert comes in. Concert is an AI-powered application resilience and IT operations center. It helps organizations manage resilience by aggregating siloed data, generating insights using AI, and automating best practices through repeatable workflows. In simple terms, Concert pulls in data from all your existing tools, APM, NPM, logging, ITSM, and more, and uses AI to understand it in context. It doesn't replace your tools. It makes them smarter by connecting the dots and servicing the insights that you need to act quickly and effectively. It helps you understand why an application isn't resilient and what to do about it. Ultimately, IBM Concert acts as an AI-powered SRE, analyzing data, identifying problems, and helping you fix them faster and more effectively. At its core, Concert makes applications more resilient by minimizing disruptions and providing application-aware insights. The recommendations it generates are based on actual application data, not generic assumptions. That means it doesn't treat all applications the same. Some might be mission critical, while others are less important. This context allows teams to prioritize fixes more effectively. With prioritized insights and action-oriented recommendations, teams can resolve issues faster. The mean time to resolution is significantly reduced, which saves time and allows teams to address more issues overall. Concert also includes a powerful low-code automation capability. These workflows can touch any part of the tech stack to automatically resolve issues, making your organization not only more resilient, but more secure. By focusing resources on the most impactful risks, you get better outcomes with less effort. The two main goals of the platform are to reduce risk and improve application resilience. Both are essential to keeping your applications running smoothly and reliably. Each of these areas includes specific use cases. Under risk is vulnerabilities, certificates, compliance packages, and software composition. And under resilience is goal setting, monitoring, analysis, customer assessments, and drift detection. Across both risk and resilience, Concert uses automated workflows to take action, remediate issues, and collect data from across your entire technology stack. Think of it as having an AI-powered SRE. Instead of relying on gut instinct, Concert uses AI to ingest and analyze all of your data, and then surface meaningful insights to help you stay on track. In the next sections, we'll dive deeper into the use cases, but the key takeaway is this. Concert helps you manage both risk and resilience using the data you already have, making your application stronger, more secure, and more efficient. Let's dive into the first use case, application resilience. On the right side of the screen, you'll see the assessment results. These highlight the key areas we evaluate for resilience, showing both your target goals and your current performance across various NFRs. As a Concert user, you set these goals and the platform continuously tracks your resilience posture. It's designed to be intuitive, making it easier for teams to understand where they might be falling short. Concert uses the data already in your systems to drive these insights. With AI, it helps cut through the noise and manage the overwhelming volume of information that often comes your way. We bring together data from multiple tools to give you a holistic view of your application's resilience. You can set resilience objectives, monitor your current status, and even automate remediation using AI-driven workflows. All of this helps ensure that your applications stay reliable and available without adding extra burden to your teams. Resilience today is too often manual, time-consuming, reactive, and incomplete, leading to blind spots, delays, and costly downtime. To stay ahead, enterprises need a scalable, AI-driven approach that transforms resilience from an afterthought into an automated, proactive strategy. That's where the resilience posture comes in. For example, if you're seeing there has been a drop in availability for a certain application, you can dive into the most recent assessment results and find out exactly why. Concert will provide a recommendation for how to fix the availability issue, and then you can take action on that, either through opening a ticket or using GenAI workflows to start the remediation process yourself. Using Concert's GenAI workflows capability is extremely accessible, as you simply tell watsonx in natural language what you would like done, and it will build that out for you. So, in a little bit more detail here, as I mentioned before, just describe what you would like done, and watsonx will start building the workflow for your application. Once the workflow is generated, you can request changes to be made in real time, or open the workflow in the editor to make changes yourself. Once the workflow is correct, simply click Run, and there you have a completed remediation workflow, solving your initial issue. So, let's take a look at this process in action. After logging into the user interface, you'll be brought to the home screen. From here, you can see an overview of the different capabilities that Concert has. Each use case has a section on the wheel. So to see application resiliency, just click Dimensions and then Resilience. This is your resilience dashboard. Here you can see the postures trend of all your applications that have been assessed. Pink represents the target score, which you would set yourself based on the criticality of the application. And then the teal color shows the most recent assessment score. Looking at these will give you the best idea of where your application currently stands with respect to resilience. For this demonstration, we'll dive into the Quote of the Day app assessed on the Production Apps profile. Potential disruption cost if an outage were to happen is listed here, along with the most recent assessment score. Potential disruption cost can be entered manually and based on user input, but ideally Concert would be provided the application cost data from integrations such as Apptio or Cloudability on a regular basis. Next to that, you can see the assessment trend and the assessment NFR type trend charts. This chart shows all the assessments that have been completed for the application and the assessed score, potential disruption cost at the time of assessment, and the target score. Assessments can be set up to run hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, or quarterly. Latest can also be selected for a one-time assessment using the latest available data to generate a snapshot of the application's current resilience posture. So notice the assessed score is below the target score in the assessments trend chart for the most recent assessment. If you look at the assessment NFR type trend chart, the availability score has dropped in the latest assessment. There are many possible causes for this. For example, if the dev team consolidated workloads for this application to a single AWS region when it requires more. So let's examine the cause of this drop by going into the most recent assessment. Availability scores look good overall, apart from the multi-zone deployment NFR. Expanding this NFR, we can see the metrics multi-zone deployment and data replication are at 12% and 13% respectively. This is causing the application's availability score to dip below the target score. Concert recommends that we increase the application's workload distribution across multiple zones to improve resilience and availability. So, let's give that a shot with Concert Workflows. We're going to create a new workflow and click Generate with AI. So let's ask watsonx to help us with our resilience problem. I'll ask watsonx to create an EKS instance in US South AWS for the Quote of the Day app application. Based off the 12 words I sent using natural language, watsonx has generated a workflow with its own logic that creates an EKS cluster through AWS. Once the workflow is generated, you can download and import it for further editing if needed. The value here is really in the time savings. Whether you're an expert with workflows or a beginner, leveraging GenAI is crucial to extracting the full value from Concert Workflows. It allows beginners to build effective workflows quickly, while giving experts more time to focus their skills on solving additional challenges. Now, I'm not going to go any farther with this example, because in this environment, we don't have the necessary integrations to run this workflow. However, in a live setting, with AWS integrated and the EKS clusters deployed, this automation would bring the resilience score back above the target score. All you would need to do to see the change is run another resilience assessment on this application, and it would show the improved availability scores in the resilience dimension. Now, back to the slides. Next, let's take a look at application risk. Through various dimensions, Concert helps you prioritize and mitigate risk related to vulnerabilities, compliance issues, expiring certificates, package license issues, and more. It reduces manual effort by automatically prioritizing issues and even fixing them, so your team can focus on what really matters. In the next slide, we'll discuss each dimension within the risk posture and then take a look at how they're displayed in Concert. First, we have the vulnerability dimension. The value Concert provides in this area comes from its ability to cut through the manual analysis step and help clients understand the application dependencies concerning a CVE. Concert gathers all the data at an application level to help clients understand the ripple effects of those CVEs and prioritize the ones with the biggest impact on their applications. Users can configure automation rules to automatically open and populate the service ticket in a third-party tool for quick remediation. The compliance dimension provides a central location to review and manage your compliance assessments and define profiles or controls that matter most to your organization. Concert tracks changing application elements against compliance standards to ensure that a client's environment is always in compliance. Clients scan their applications against one of the preloaded compliance standards, like NIST 800-53, or create a custom compliance profile. Next up, certificate health, or the operations dimension. A centralized system to manage certificate health might seem like a simple task, but it's a huge headache for clients today. Certificates are scattered across distributed systems, and many existing tools cannot discover self-signed certificates, creating a visibility gap which increases the risk of forgotten and expired certificates. Certificates expire before our clients know, which directly impacts the application, resulting in a complete outage of service. The biggest differentiator in Concert's approach to certificate health is that it provides a holistic view across multiple environments and applications, with enterprise-level support from IBM. Concert helps unify all the digital certificates, identify certificates that are expired or about to expire, and record detailed certificate activity for auditing and compliance purposes. Concert's software composition dimension minimizes software supply chain and open source software risk. The software composition view highlights package information such as the software manufacturer or supplier, vulnerabilities, licenses, out-of-support packages, and back-level versions. Concert provides recommendations for remediating these back-level packages and has ticketing capabilities to track recommendations. So let's jump back into Concert to see what these dimensions look like. We'll take a look at the first dimension within the risk posture, the vulnerability dimension. This is where Concert helps you quickly identify the most critical CVEs with respect to your specific application landscape. It does this by cutting through that manual analysis step that is normally needed to prioritize vulnerabilities, bringing together the vast amount of data you have from disconnected, disparate tools. It analyzes vulnerabilities based on that data and displays the highest priority findings here in the dashboard. The first number you see here on the right is total unique CVEs that Concert has identified, with the priority 1 CVEs just below that. This smaller figure here is the number of CVEs after deduplication, which essentially means Concert has removed, or more accurately grouped, duplicate CVEs that are showing up in multiple places. This is a significant value add, since your SREs or developers can apply the same fix to a duplicate CVE in multiple places, saving time and allowing them to focus on more innovation rather than maintenance. If we scroll down a little bit here, you can see some charts displaying your most vulnerable applications, public access points being impacted by CVEs, and then a list of your highest priority CVEs. You can see CVSS score is listed alongside the Concert risk score. This risk score is what actually determines the most critical CVEs for your specific application landscape. because unlike CVSS score, the risk score factors in your application data, dependencies, and any connections that it might have. CVSS score is not a measurement of risk. They're just a measurement of the potential severity of a CVE. It does not include any information about the specific applications, environments, or access points a CVE is impacting. So it can't accurately tell you what the application risk of a CVE is. That's why we've introduced the Concert Risk Score. It takes that CVSS score and adds a couple of layers of analysis on top of it. Specifically, whether that CVE is being exploited in the industry, and whether it's commonly appearing in modern business applications. Then, Concert looks at it from the specific viewpoint of your environment, whether it's a vulnerability that will directly impact your application based on the connections and dependencies that Concert knows about. Next, let's take a look at the Arena view. Here, you can see all your application connections and dependencies. So, if we zoom out a bit here, you can see everything at once. And right now, this is just showing you your applications and all their connections. If you want to see the CVEs connected to your application landscape, click the Prioritize CVEs tab here. Now, you can see all the CVEs that are impacting your applications. If you want to see what exactly a specific CVE is impacting, move your cursor over the CVE, and Concert will show you the ripple effects of that CVE throughout your application landscape. You can also take an application perspective by hovering your cursor over the application you want to inspect. This will show you all the CVEs, repositories, images, everything connected to this specific application. Now, once you've looked over the high-impact CVEs and have decided on one you want to learn more about, you can also do that from the Arena view. At the top, you can see the CVE ID along with a description of the CVE that comes directly from the CVE data file. The detailed attack vector and remediation shown here are generated by watsonx and provide more context and some direction for how to begin the remediation process. At the bottom, Concert displays all of the different components in your application landscape that the CVE is affecting. If you want to see a list of all the prioritized CVEs in your application landscape, come up here and click Dimension, and then click Vulnerability. This will bring up a full list of all the CVEs connected to your applications. So let's take a look at the highest priority CVE with a risk score of 10. As you can see, just like in the Arena view, Concert provides details, recommended mitigation, and each component that the CVE is connected to. If you're still unsure about the recommended mitigation steps, that's why we've included the Ask watsonx button here. So if you click this, the chatbot will pop up, and you can ask this pretty much anything. So for example, what should I do about this CVE? And watsonx will think for a second, and then provide you with an answer based on everything it knows about your application landscape, and all the connections and dependency that this CVE is impacting. So you can see here it provided a little bit of additional context. And you can go further. You can ask it to summarize or expand on this. You can ask it what ripple effects it might have downstream. Anything you can think of really, watsonx will respond with everything it knows. So once you decide on the course of action you want to take to remediate the CVE, you can open a ticket by selecting a component the CVE is impacting and clicking Open Ticket. Concert directly integrates with GitHub, Jira, ServiceNow, Salesforce, and GitLab, so you can open a ticket with any of these services, whichever your organization prefers. If I scroll down a bit, you can see that the title and ticket details are automatically populated with the issue. And at the bottom here is Concert's recommendation for action that should be taken to resolve the issue. So that's a quick look at the vulnerability dimension. Next, we'll take a look at operations. The main feature here is certificate health. It shows a list of all the certificates involved in your applications. This dashboard shows a breakdown of the certificates that are expired, soon to expire, or valid. Expired certificates are a huge cause of application outages, and that's something that we help you manage here. Concert not only brings in certificates that are preloaded from your environments, but also a lot of the self-signed certificates that tend to be one-offs. We ingest those through your SBOMs. Concert looks at them from an application perspective to see if they will have an impact on your application. You can also set up automation rules using Concert workflows that will identify soon-to-expire tickets to flag them for you before they go out of date, so they won't cause disruptions to any services that you might be providing. Now let's take a look at the software composition dimension. This is a big deal for companies that use open source packages and preset libraries that are imported wholesale into an application. When those libraries go out of date, when those open source packages are no longer supported, that can cause problems for your applications. The Packages tab shows a list of software packages for your applications. It gives all of their installed versions, if they are behind and need to be updated, along with their reliability score and license details. To get all of this information to show up here, you need to upload an SBOM file that contains all of the package or library data. In this demo, all of the data is preloaded, but in practice, this would be automatically imported from your pipeline. Once Concert has the data, it looks at it, analyzes it, and gives some recommendations of whether you need to upgrade to a new version, or whether there's a vulnerability in an open source package that might need mitigation. These are the sorts of things that you can discover in the software composition dimension. Next, let's take a quick look at compliance, starting with the catalogs. Here, you can see all the preloaded compliance standards that we've got in Concert today. You can also upload your own compliance standards if you have company-specific compliance standards. As long as it's in OSCAL format, we can read it and ingest it here in the catalog section. In the Profiles section, you can create custom compliance standards specific to your organization, using pieces of existing catalogs. Once created, Concert can scan your applications against that custom profile. Next, in Assessments, if you click into the NIST scan results, you can see the compliance level of all the different pieces of an application based on what Concert knows about your application. Included in the NIST scan results are some descriptions that come from the compliance standards themselves. So, if you're looking to comply with a standard, and you want to provide evidence to your auditors to say, this is how we're mitigating or complying with this standard, or this is not even relevant to us, we don't have that as a part of our application, you can provide that evidence here. And then you can use watsonx to see if that evidence you provided is sufficient or not for your auditors. It will provide you an instant answer on that. Once you've submitted the evidence, Concert will compile it in an easy-to-read format for auditors downstream. That's it for the risk dimension of Concert. Next, we'll move back to the slides and take a look at a simplified, high-level architectural diagram of Concert. This diagram displays some of the ways Concert ingests data and the places it might be going. For example, if you take CVE scan results from a tool like Trivy or an SBOM from a tool like Sift, that would go into the vulnerability dimension within Concert. and possibly impact some CVE scores. Instana can be used to ingest real-time resilience data so that Concert always has the most recent information. As a side note, there are many more data sources not included in this diagram. These are just some examples. So Concert uses all of this data to generate an understanding of your application landscape so that it can provide the most relevant and impactful recommendations possible. Also built right into Concert are integrations for many of the most popular ticketing systems on the market. So your organization can act quickly on those recommendations that you'd like to take action on. At the bottom and bottom right, you can see two watsonx icons. The bottom right one represents GenAI workflows, which can be used in conjunction with some of Concert's recommendations to immediately begin the remediation process. We saw an example of this earlier in the demo environment when we were looking at resilience. And then Concert also uses watsonx throughout risk and resilience postures to provide insights and recommended action. Next, let's take a look at the different deployment options you have with Concert. Concert is available in 5 forms currently. There are some minor variations, and deployment options are constantly being built out, so take this number with a grain of salt. But the main ones are SaaS, OCP, EKS, IKS, and on a VM. The SaaS option will be the simplest, as it does not require any installation, and watsonx comes pre-provisioned. OCP, EKS, and IKS deployments are all based on Kubernetes and require a more involved installation process. Put simply, more tools are required to install Concert, manage users, and ingest data. However, once set up, these options provide a containerized solution with more flexible resource management systems and access control. VM installation is the simplest on-prem deployment option. Using a single virtual machine, you can install Concert, manage users, and ingest data. IBM Concert's SaaS offering allows you to easily access Concert without the need for installation. It provides instant software updates and much faster deployment compared to on-premise alternatives. When you purchase the SaaS version of Concert through IBM Cloud, AWS, or a sales rep, you are provided with an IBM ID. Once you have this, you can access the subscriptions page in the IBM SaaS console, go to View Instances, and then create an instance in the region of your choice. Once provisioning is complete, access your newly created instance using your URL. See the publicly available Concert documentation for a list of available regions. The IBM SaaS console allows you to efficiently provision and manage your Concert SaaS instance, handle user and user group access at the instance level, manage service IDs, API keys, and more. The IBM SaaS console serves as a centralized platform for overseeing all your IBM SaaS subscriptions, instances, and user access. OpenShift Container Platform provides a containerized deployment of Concert based on Kubernetes. User access and administrative tasks are managed through a lightweight directory access protocol, or LDAP server. You can either do a CPFS managed OCP installation or a standalone OCP installation. A CPFS managed OCP deployment would allow you to install Concert on a single node OCP environment. Amazon Elastic Kubernetes Service provides a lightweight container deployment option on AWS. IBM Cloud Kubernetes Service is a managed Kubernetes service which creates a cluster of compute hosts to deploy and manage containerized applications. If your cluster only has limited access to the internet, then you can install Concert with an air-gapped environment for all 4 of these Kubernetes deployment options. The other on-prem option for deployment is using a virtual machine. There are minimum sizing requirements, which you can find on the publicly available Concert documentation website. Once installed, OpenID Connect and Concert's built-in CLI functions are used to handle user authentication and management. The demo environment I showed you in this course is hosted on a Red Hat VM. In this short course, you got an introduction to Concert and learned about common client pain points in modern application environments and how Concert can help. You learned about the resilience and risk postures of Concert and saw a live demo of the various dimensions. You were also introduced to an architectural diagram that illustrates how Concert might integrate into your current infrastructure. Finally, we reviewed deployment options, giving you the flexibility to choose between cloud and on-prem models based on your organization's needs. With this knowledge, you're now better equipped to leverage Concert to build robust, secure, and scalable applications. If you would like to learn more about Concert, refer to the IBM Concert documentation linked on this slide. That wraps up this quick introductory course. If you have any questions or need further assistance, contact IBM Learning at ibmlearning@ibm.com. Thank you for your time.